The 60th Forum is our diamond celebration, if you will, and we're going to pull out all the stops to celebrate the huge achievements from the 59 previous forums and the people who helped deliver them. And it is the people, our pilots, our team, our staff, ALPA members all, who have driven our triumphs since the very first forum. From the simple idea of adding weather radar in the 1960s to the novel thought of adding a fasten seatbelt sign in the 70s, from the anti-terrorist advances of the 90s and the 2000s to the laser strike awareness campaign of today, it is our pilots who remain the most important instrument in affecting change. That's why this forum is officially a celebration of pilots helping getting the job done safely and securely. Now, if I stood here and named every pilot who's working in safety, in security, in pilot assistance, who've made notable contributions to our industry, we'd be in the room for days. But let me illustrate with just a few of the thousands of examples of great work. The late Tom Phillips applied his background in firefighting and his passion for helping people to the goal of making things safer for everyone. His yeoman's work in investigations and his efforts in a number of safety initiatives are a model for us all. Paul McCarthy, a pilot and a lawyer, brought his legal background to ALPA and argued against and pointed out the fallacy of criminally prosecuting pilots after an accident or an incident. Thanks to Paul, there's now a formal ICAO policy against this practice. And our own Jazz Captain Bob Perkins took his passion and his hard work in the area of airport standards to the international level, to IFALPA, where he's led the IFALPA AGE committee for a number of years. He's working hard at ICAO to improve airport safety standards. And ALPA member Ron Rogers gave a lot, but perhaps his greatest gift to ALPA was that of his son Mark, a second-generation safety rep whose chemistry knowledge helped establish regulations and international standards to govern the carriage of hazardous materials. Captain Steve Lucky, he's legendary in the aviation security community around the world. The now retired ALPA member and one of only 3 recipients of the association's highest award, the Binky Award, and is the originator of the idea of training and arming volunteer pilots in order to protect the cockpit, an idea that led to the current FFDO program. His Canadian compatriot, Craig Hall, had a similar influence on aviation security in Canada. While Captain Hall's impact in the area is certainly widespread, his crowning glory is surely in being instrumental in developing and implementing Canada's Restricted Area Identification Card program. Mimi Tompkins is known around the world as the co-pilot in the 1988 Aloha Airlines flight that lost a large portion of its fuselage mid-flight. And she used that incident to fuel her greatest contribution to our profession, the creation of the Critical Incident Response Program, dedicated to helping pilots and their families more effectively deal with normal reactions to an abnormal event. Also in the pilot assistance area, we have the late John Lux, called the father of pilot assistance by his colleagues at Federal Express. While he passed in 2009, his legacy lives on, especially in the all-important area of professional standards. We have a video that highlights the contributions of these pilots and so many more as heard in their own words. Let's take a look.
They're almost too many to mention. I remember Ray Bryce saying that he was standing on the shoulder of giants.
To go out and make a significant contribution in this profession, you don't have to go out and save an entire world. You just have to keep one person from getting into trouble. That person, chances are, will never know that it was an ALPA air safety representative that helped influence a significant change to pilot training, or to airport standards, or to air traffic control procedures, or to the design of an aircraft cockpit, or even to the way that an airline fundamentally conducts business.
When everyone gives me this award and says that this program is because of me, it isn't true. It's because of all of the many, many ALPA volunteers that have worked together and who supported us, who came to us and told us their stories of incidents or accidents that they had, that they never had talked about because they never felt safe to do it.
Many of us benefit from a mentor or two along the way. In my case, it was Dick Duxbury who sort of pointed me along the path, and it seemed that every step of the way beyond that, it was Paul McCarthy who guided me, encouraged me. So thanks, Paul, for your influence, your guidance and your friendship, and also the efforts that you continue to make on behalf of pilots worldwide.
No one could ever have had a better mentor than I did in Captain Steve Lucky. Steve taught me everything that I know about how to be an effective security volunteer, and he is truly a legend in this business.
If I had a magic wand, I would try to put it over every line pilot that I fly with who doesn't come to a conference or a forum like this, and try to explain to him how very complex the system is. I could sit in the cockpit, pound my chest, and say a lot of really strong things and great things about what I would do, what I could do. We need the people where the rubber meets the road, with the good data, with the good experience, to really tell folks what we do in the cockpit.
I'm proud of my ALPA work, helping address flight time duty issues as it relates to fatigue, progress in ultra-long flying rules, and identifying aircraft rescue, firefighting, dangerous goods, and other cargo issues.
There's hundreds of all-cargo flights all over the world that are flying without many of the same security measures that our passenger brethren enjoy. The biggest thing we can do is continue to press for that one level of safety and security.
Let's make tonight a celebration of what we've accomplished. And not only what we've accomplished in the past, but what we can and must fulfill for the future.
And I want to thank all of you, the volunteers who've done this work. This is for you.
Each of these pilots and many more saw a need for ALPA, for our members, or for the entire airline industry and stepped up to fill it. By attending this forum, you're showing the same initiative, but I want to challenge you to take it further. And look, a woman, a man, a person can make a difference. Be the person that makes the difference. By being here, you can be that person. I need you to be aggressive. I need you to be engaged. I need you to step it up. What they did, they made a difference. The people in this room, you can make a difference. As you're attending events this week, think about what you can take back to your airline to make things better. Think about what needs you've seen that you can fix. Think about what skills you have you can offer. And think about what improvements you believe you can help achieve. The people I highlighted and all the pilots scrolling on the screen show that one person can do. What one person can do to make a difference. So ask yourself, again, can you do this? I believe you can. And it's the same question that the pilots have asked themselves at the 59 previous air safety forums before us, going all the way back to 1953. Your attendance this week, of course, is evidence of your commitment to safety, to security, and to pilot assistance. When we come together as ALPA, our influence is even greater. Whether the issue is emerging now or one that ALPA helped resolve a half century ago, I'm always impressed every time I witness the experience, the expertise, and the effort that our union brings to bear on virtually every issue that affects our industry and our profession. And I'm pleased to see so many from industry and from the government. And that's a testament to the partnerships we've worked to establish throughout the entire airline world. Because of these partnerships, I'm able to stand here and say that ALPA is the voice, and a credible, relevant voice, for professional airline pilots in North America. And through our affiliation with IFALPA, that voice extends around the globe and to the international aviation standards at ICAO. And that's not just in safety, in security, and in pilot assistance. That applies to a wide variety of issues that impact worldwide aviation. Aviation has made the world smaller, and we, along with our fellow pilots at IFALPA, represent the conscience of the global industry. If we aren't fully aware of all the aspects of our profession and we don't gauge, who will? For instance, we're building on the work of Mark Rogers and have pushed ICAO for international standards for the carriage of lithium batteries and other hazardous materials. There have been enough incidents to demonstrate the dangers of carrying lithium batteries. One worldwide standard would help prevent another incident that could be avoided. And I'm proud to report that starting in January of 2015, ICAO's cargo standards will prohibit the carriage of lithium metal batteries as cargo on all passenger airlines. Now that we have an official acceptance of the dangers of shipping lithium batteries, our focus turns towards making cargo shipments safer. The logical next steps call for the developments of special packaging and carriage limitations for all cargo aircraft as well. And we expect to work with ICAO closely on this in the coming months. And as you know, on Thursday, July 31st, PHMSA finally issued final rules on the carriage of lithium batteries. While it's a step in the right direction, the rules fall short of our goals, and so it's still a work in progress. The Airline Pilot Association's agenda continues to focus on you and your fellow pilots and making sure you're able to complete your job to the best of your abilities safely and securely. And we continue to fight to expand flight and duty rest rules to Canada, where updates to the regulatory requirements are needed, just as we have in the United States for passenger operations. We'll also continue to fight to include cargo airlines in order to assure an adequately rested and alert crew. ALPA will not rest until the industry recognizes one level of safety and security for all operations. We continue to push for pilot training and qualification methods and concepts that keep pace with the latest aircraft design and operating standards. We continue to focus on pilot health and wellness initiatives to leverage the latest advances in medical practices to assist in prolonging the careers of our members and of pilots. And most importantly, we continue to remain vigilant in the face of those with evil intent, making sure our security practices and standards are always evolving and always adapting so we can stay a step ahead of those people and those organizations who would do our industry, our customers, our colleagues harm. For instance, the recent tragedy involving Malaysian Flight 17 and the temporary emergency restrictions on U.S. airlines operating into Ben Gurion International Airport in Tel Aviv have raised significant questions for ALPA, for government, for industry, and for those affected airlines. The Aviation Security Group and our staff are working under my direction to gather all pertinent facts about how decisions are made concerning airspace closures and restrictions, how that information is relayed to and coordinated with the airlines, and how safety and security are ensured in these difficult circumstances. We know we have the best intelligence apparatus in the world. There is a duty to inform. And when we have that intelligence, what we have to ensure is that it gets to the stakeholders, to our crew members, so that we can make timely decisions, so that there's never, ever another Malaysian Air 17. Once the answers to these and related questions are known, we'll facilitate a discussion with our government and our industry partners in an effort to evaluate whether improvements can be made to the current methods and procedures for safeguarding commercial aviation against threats that may emanate from war zones and areas of hostility. The airline industry is vital to the world's economy, so our attention to this aspect of security is vital as well. Safety and security are also a part of the reason that we fight so hard on Deny NAI. The Norwegian Air International attempt to circumvent laws, regulation, and the concept of fairness to create an uneven playing field in international flights to the United States. And I want to underscore this point. The industry should be competing on schedule, on service, on product. And the people in this room should ensure that the industry never competes on safety, on security, on labor, by trying to register where an airplane would not have certification oversight, would not have continued oversight. That's a new development. It's a tough one, and we're going to stay engaged on it, as we should. And as you all know, Norwegian Air Shuttle has established a subsidiary, a low-cost carrier that it hopes to have serve in the United States, while Norwegian Air Shuttle is based, as you might assume, in Norway. Its subsidiary, NAI, Norwegian Air International, is registered and has obtained an air operating certificate instead in Ireland in order to avoid the more stringent Norwegian employment and tax and regulatory laws, with an idea that that is a way to compete. It's hiring its pilots, its aircrew, through a Singapore hiring company and basing those crews in Thailand to take advantage of a lack of oversight. And it's doing all this in direct violation, we believe, of the EU-US Open Skies Agreement. And thanks to this setup, NAI supposedly can fly cheaper than most, if not all, of the United States, Canadian, and European airlines. And long term, not only would this cause a loss of jobs, decreased profits, it could potentially drive air carriers out of markets and into bankruptcy. So going beyond the question of fairness and business practices are the real legitimate safety concerns that forces us to consider and address this growing issue. The most interesting point from a safety perspective is that Norwegian Air International does not operate commercial flights into Ireland. Does not operate into Ireland. While we certainly recognize the expertise of our Irish colleagues, we question how a country can issue an air operating certificate to an airline that does not service a single destination in their country. This takes safety oversight of the airline by the regulatory authority. It takes it to a new level, a different place. And I believe extremely difficult, if not impossible. Even the top experts would be hampered by such a situation. What can this oversight process be? Are they simply going to look up as the aircraft flies overhead on its way to the U.S. and report? No problems that I can see. Now, I know that's an overstatement, but while this concern may be minor now, what about if we start to envision what logically might come next? If NAI is granted a permit, This flag of convenience model will spread. Business practices that cut costs and they compete on safety and security and labor tend to be replicated. Other airlines will look closely at how they can replicate NAI. And if they did it in Ireland and they're not getting proper oversight there on a continual basis, why not go to Monrovia? Why not go to Liberia? Just like the shipping industry. Or worse, how about if they expand on that? NAI may be used in Ireland as its official base. Again, what if the next airline chooses somewhere else? Whose labor laws would they use? What about a country that has no labor laws, has no registry requirements? Those countries may not even have the resources or the knowledge that the Irish have currently to meet even the most basic of oversight responsibilities. Without ICAO guidance and standards on what proper oversight procedures and protocols should be in those circumstances, then there are no minimum standards to meet. No minimum standards to meet. It very well could turn into a spiral to the bottom, where airlines bid out the cheapest country for this type of oversight. So while the business practices of NAI are enough on their own to feed our Deny NAI campaign, when you add in those safety and security concerns, it's imperative we win this fight against Norwegian Air International and convince the Department of Transportation to deny their permit. The domino effect, should their application be approved, could be catastrophic. Now, it's issues like this that make our partnerships with industry and government so very important. The airlines know we have the best interests of the airline industry at heart, and the government knows from its dealings with us that we aren't the boy who cried wolf. We aren't looking to protect selfish interests. We aren't framing every issue in dollars and cents. It's their past dealings with ALPA that make sure, for example, that DOT can easily dismiss NAI's outlandish assertion that we oppose their application solely for anti-competitive reasons. And getting on the step for a minute, we welcome competition. I can't believe anybody says that to the U.S. airline industry or Canadian airline industry after what we've been through in the last several years. This is the most viciously competitive industry in the world, so bring it on. Bring it on. We're not against competition. Our colleagues at DOT know that ALPA has not opposed any other European air carrier's permit since the U.S.-EU Air Transport Agreement came into effect. And in fact, we recently expressed our support for an application made by DreamJet. We're supporting DreamJet, a new French airline. Those of you who know me very well, and you know how passionate I am, and I know some people say intense about this topic. It's the same passion, the same intensity that all of you hold for aviation safety and security. This is precisely why the Airline Pilots Association is the conscience of the industry. To those of you here today representing the airline industry, to those of you representing the government, I say welcome. Thank you for partnering with ALPA and hearing our voice throughout the years. I trust that the events this week will continue to demonstrate why ALPA deserves its seat at the table, its voice in the discussion, and its role as the conscience of the entire industry. Thank you.